So I have been getting a bit tired of the view, and my thoughts have gone towards summertime, patio, and outdoor grilling. So I thought, well, what could I do to bring that just a bit closer? And then it struck me, let's make some sausage. The first step in making any sausage, of course, is to grind the meat. Today I'm using pork butt, pork shoulder, that I've cut up, diced up, and have put in the freezer to let it harden up a bit. Don't want it frozen, but you want it very, very cold, as well as the grinding components. They've been out on the porch. Very cold here today, so they're very cold. That's critical when you're grinding the sausage because you don't want the fat and the meat to separate and the fat to smear. You want it to stay nice and chunky and mix in. So we're going to grind the meat. We'll start that process. We're going to grind through a number 10 die. That's the beginning die. Two of the sausages we're making today actually specify a number 10 die for the final grind. And the bratwurst that we're going to make later actually uses a second smaller die. So we'll actually be grinding that meat twice. So I'll show you a little bit of the process. We won't bore you with the entire amount, but just to kind of let you see. If you don't have a grinder and you want to make sausage, you can always buy ground meat at the butcher or the grocery store, or you can buy a pork butt and ask your butcher to grind it for you. So you do not have to have all this equipment. Another really good product, if you're doing smaller amounts, is the grinder that fits on the KitchenAid. We use that quite a bit when you're just doing a pound or two of meat. So you don't need all this to make sausage. All right, the grind is done. I'm just mixing it up a bit to make sure that we have a good blend of meat and fat. Just a quick second video. This is our second grind. So the first time, if you recall, we went through a 10mm plate. This time we're going to go through a 6mm plate, which is the final grind for the bratwurst. And we decided to go ahead and make some English bangers as well. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot more grinding video, but what I will do is grind just a bit and show you the different texture between the two different dies. This is just a quick comparison between a 10-inch and a 6-inch grind, so you can see how much different the meat looks. The tedious part is done. So we've already ground the meat. It's been in the freezer. It stays really cold, and I cannot overemphasize, everything needs to stay cold. Your liquids need to be cold. Your meat needs to be cold. Keeps the fat from separating and smearing, makes everything mix well. So, just make sure you do that. Now, I'm going to make bratwurst here, and in deference to my friends in Wisconsin, and particularly Sheboygan, this is one bratwurst recipe. There are a ton of bratwurst recipes. This is not the definitive bratwurst. I'm going to use cream and not beer. So before you put in the comments that that's not the way we make bratwurst, just understand there are a lot of different types and they're all fantastic. So this is one way. I like this way. I like all the other ways. Sometimes I even put cheese in my brats. So bear with me and let's see how we do this. This is the part where magic happens with sausage. You get to pick the spices, you get to pick the liquid. Every culture has a sausage recipe. So this is where you can experiment with types of sausages that you may never find in your local store. It can be Greek sausage, Argentinian sausage, Chilean sausage, Chinese sausage. This is the point. And again, you could all have bought all this already ground up. So you could skip right ahead to this section and try multiple different types. So what I've done is I've mixed up the spices and we put that in the meat. And then we mix in a liquid. Now, some people do all of this beforehand. They mix the spices with the meat before they grind it so that it all grinds together. Perfectly acceptable way to do it. I tend not to do it that way simply because I find sometimes you leave a lot of the spices in the grinder. But you can definitely do that, particularly with the salt to get into the meat. And then you mix. And this is important. You need to really mix this well. You need to integrate the spices all through the meat and the liquid. Now, this 5 pounds, if you don't want to do it with your hands, and this is really cold. So I am wearing these barbecue gloves. They allow it to insulate a bit to keep my hands from getting too cold. If your meat and everything is as cold as it should be, when you're doing this mixing, quite honestly, your hands will start to ache because it's so cold. So I've just taken the precaution of going ahead and wearing these gloves. Now, I have done, and I think it works perfectly well, if you want to mix this up and then throw it into your KitchenAid blender. Use the paddle and just blend it for a bit on the, not super fast setting, and that works really well too. What you're looking for is a texture that is well combined, it's sticky. Really, I've heard it referred to as you're trying to create a meat paste. Now I know meat paste isn't the most appealing way to describe it, but that's really what it is. And what that does is allows you, when you stuff it into the casing, is that it keeps the sausage in a nice cohesive link. It doesn't come apart. It doesn't have a texture that's just of ground meat stuck into a casing. It really is a cohesive package. It gives you that nice snap when you bite into it. So right now, I think we're pretty good. You can see that it's sticking very well to my hands. It forms up nicely. And there you have it. Now this is ready to go into the refrigerator and come together a bit. But I want to point out that sausage making shouldn't be complex, and it shouldn't be something that you're scared to try to do. At this point, you now have a perfectly good sausage. Where I come from in Iowa, it's quite often that we find brat patties, so they're not even stuffed in a casing. Breakfast sausage, for example, this is it. That's all you would need to do. Take your spices, ground pork, mix it together, let it sit a bit to come together, and that's it. So it's very easy to make sausage. It shouldn't be intimidating in any way, and you can go and try some different things and see if you like different recipes. Now at the stuffing stage, this was by far the scariest part of the process for me before I started making sausage, because I had no idea what to do. I ended up going to a class that I found on Groupon, and first time I did it, I was like, that's not so hard. Now you don't need the right tools. This is a 10-pound stuffer, and we are using natural hog casings from the US. So what you basically do is you put the meat into the tube, you've got a press, and you put the casings on the horn, and you press the meat through, and you sort of control the casing speed to get the thickness that you want in the meat. So as you can see, if you keep a constant pressure on it, my stuffer is moving around a bit on me here, then you can get the casing to come right off, and you can fill the brat up to the size you want. You got to be careful not to overfill these, because you can get them so full that when you twist them into lengths, it'll put too much pressure on it and it'll burst the casing. All right, we are now at the end. We've stuffed the sausage. This is 5 pounds of bratwurst. So you pull the casing off the end. Give yourself some room to work. Cut the casing. Whoops, sorry, babe. Spin it around like we did the other end. And then we start to make our lengths. So basically what you do is you pinch whatever length you want. You make a pinch and you twist. If you got that one just a touch short, then you go. Make another brat, pinch, but don't twist that one. Go to the third one, make a pinch, and twist that one the same direction that you twisted the first one. And you just continue to do that, twisting every other one. Oh, we got a blowout here. So as I mentioned, you can get a blowout if you get it too full, and we did have one. So what I will do is I will go ahead and cut that. Certainly not the end of the world. remove some brat. That will be a brat patty. Twist it and just keep going. And it looks like we'll get 2 more. And there you have it. 5 pounds of brats plus a patty. And that's all there is to it. So not nearly as complicated as you would think. Easy enough to do if you have the equipment. Again, if not, make patties. There's no need to have to stuff this. Never wanted to look a gift horse in the mouth. We decided that we should eat the sausage that blew out of the casing, as you just saw. So while we are cooking that and eating that, we thought we'd just tell you real quick about the equipment we use today. The sausage stuffer is from Lamb, L-E-M, Lamb. I'm not sure how they actually say it. This is the 10-pound manual crank. L-E-M has a ton of different stuff to make sausage, a lot of equipment as well as seasonings and whatnot. This is a size 12. Grinders come in different sizes. This is a 12. I think this is a perfect size to use at home. It can go through a lot of meat very quickly, but it's not so large that you're wasting space. So that I wanted to show you. For stuffing, just to give you an idea, stuffing tubes come in multiple sizes depending on what you're stuffing, all the way from summer sausages down to breakfast sausages, so you can make all kinds of sausage with that. The recipes we used today, again, we made bratwurst, chorizo, linguiça, and English bangers. They came from the book Sausage and Jerky Maker's Bible by Eldon Russell Cutlip. A lot of recipes, not just on fresh sausages in here, but also beef jerky, dry cured sausage, smoked sausage, such as andouille. So this is a pretty good book here. Another book you might want to pick up if you just want to dip your toe is the book Charcuterie. That is by Michael Ruhlman and Brian Polson. That's got a lot of good information in it as well. This is the first book that I bought when I decided to give this a try. So, you know, definitely look those 2 books up. Cheers. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you give it a shot and give it a try, because I think it is kind of fun. You know what's in the food you're eating. You're not getting a bunch of chemicals or what else, fillers that you get in some of the sausages. Again, go to Penzeys, go to Spice House, go to your local spice merchant. They all have spice for different types of sausages. We had some extra meat today, so we made a chorizo and a breakfast sausage using the pre-made mixes from Spice House. That's a great way to start. Buy some ground pork at your gas station, at your grocery store. Try one of those pre-made spice mixes and just give it a shot. I think you'll find that you get a much better product and it's kind of fun. So again, thanks for watching. If you found it helpful, hit the subscribe button and see what's coming up next. Take care.